And welcome back, everyone, to the next round of our Any Percent tournament in the winners bracket. We've got Susaiga versus mozurkz. Sorry, a couple of bit hard to pronounce names today. I am your commentator for this race, Electric. Here with me co-commenting is Casper the Friendly Ghost, and we're really excited to bring you this race. I'm just super excited for yet another great race. We already saw with that last race, just less than a minute between those two guys. And I mean, if this race is anywhere close to that, not exactly sure how I'm going to be able to handle myself. Gonna have to take a lot of deep breaths to calm myself down. So before we get started underway, though, both of our players about to be getting ready. Looks like Suisaiga is doing a little bit of practice on a late clip beforehand, but both of them now going into the ready screen. But before we get into that, a quick shout out to our sponsor for this tournament and our other two tournaments, vi.gg. Go to their site with exclamation point bet, special offer for GSA users. And I want to point out, unlike a lot of different gambling type services, you're not betting against the house at all. The house has no involvement. You're exclusively betting against other viewers that are just betting for the opposite opponent. So if you're of legal betting age in your country and you can use online betting in your country, go and check them out. You know, if you feel really strongly about one of these two runners, you can make a pretty penny and also just give yourself an even more exciting race today. So both our guys getting ready. Suisaiga going ahead and going into his runs profile. mozurkz already in that profile, so we're about to see them both on this ready screen. And the countdown will be starting momentarily here. Suisaiga going ahead and clearing out his files here. Uh, you know, with a lot of these runners, whenever you have those runs going and a lot of quick resets, you definitely have to take that time eventually to go ahead and just clear out all your files. As you saw there, you know, a couple of them in sand. Ooh, and actually, Suisaiga actually starting his file by accident. Gonna have to go ahead and start yet another file, it looks like. Remember, the race timing starts right whenever they hit that start button on that screen. Oh, and this actually wasn't an accident from Suisaiga. It's actually a slight optimization of loading times. Commentator did not realize that. Suisaiga going for an optimization like this, you know, he may very well be going for some other really crazy optimizations throughout this run. It just has yet to be seen. So now both of them on that start screen, they've gotten the countdown from behind the scenes, and they're about to get ready to start on Cap Kingdom. So as we kind of discussed last time, Cap Kingdom for newer players, it's real easy, just a little tutorial kingdom. But for speedrunners, they do a lot of little optimizations here. In case you weren't around last time, one of the huge tricks that you're going to see constantly throughout this run is called a bump or buffered spin jump. The game allows you to buffer a spin after cutscenes that you skip, after moon collections, as early as after Mario jumps in this very first cutscene, he's able to go ahead and buffer a spin. And due to a spin pound being a lot faster than a normal ground pound, you're going to see these runners take advantage of that a lot in order to be able to build up a lot of speed really quickly. And so, you know, Cappy going ahead and tapping Mario awake. And it's amazing how considerate he's trying to be. You know, I mean, I guess if you just got knocked out of the sky by a giant Koopa, you'd want people to be considerate to you too, but I don't know. And of course, Suisaiga accidentally menuing there and losing the entire lead he gained by that small loading optimization. Both these guys with an otherwise very clean kingdom here. And just like last time, we are seeing that first-person optimization. The camera forces itself to do a lot of different things throughout this game. It's kind of slowly pans over to whatever angle a cutscene should be watched from. So by doing that first person, they bring it closer to that angle a lot quicker. Of course, now in this frog section, perfect sync here. Let's see those syncs in chat. Let's see those Craigasms, those speedrun fires. Well, let's just see all of it in chat right now. And that's the difference that great vectoring can make right here. We already see about a second between these two racers just out of the frog section. And of course, going for left side here, you know, even though left side is a pretty difficult strat to get down, it's also honestly a lot more consistent than right side once you get it down. Because right side, you're having to worry constantly about brushing too close to one of those hats and losing all of your momentum in your triple jumps. Both of them handily taking care of Topper here. You see them both just going for this standard optimization here by jumping right whenever this cutscene starts to be just a little bit closer to that pole. There's a slightly more time-saving optimization that's much more difficult. You can try to do an up throw at the same time that these guys are trying to do that jump. And if that works, then you instantly capture that lightning pole. But again, very, very difficult to actually land since you're having to use motion controls. And I'm trying to work on right now a little bit of a group. I'm wanting to write a very strongly worded letter to Nintendo to really question who exactly decided to use unoptional motion controls in Mario. You know, maybe not the best decision in the world. I certainly disagree with it. And just like these runners are disagreeing with having to go for that first moon, mozurkz having a little bit of trouble getting on top of here for this wet moon skip. We used to see a dry version of this where they'd actually jump off of the first moon stone, but in this case with the wet one, takes advantage of the fact that after you up throw, when Cappy returns to you, you can get a free Cappy jump. Suisaiga with a very nice dino skip. Let's see how mozurkz ends up handling this. Also a nice and clean dino skip. What can be really difficult about dino skip is the littlest changes on a control stick angle can make a huge difference in just where exactly that dino ends up falling off that platform. And if you fall too close to the left on that platform, you'll probably go over the trampoline there. And if you fall too far to the right, you'll just stop a little bit short. Both these guys going for the fast, brutal kill with the front part. So like we kind of discussed last race, you can get the quick kill without ever moving around Madame Brutal. But if you do that, you do also risk getting a little bit too close to the fence and having her actually be able to reclaim the chain chomp rather than getting bonked by it. But not an issue for either of these guys today. They're definitely pulling out their best for us. Now, we did see some bad luck with this first moon clip. So let's see if they're able to go ahead and get this clip reliably this time around. It's pretty difficult, and you only get one shot at it since it does require the moon cutscene. But, you know, if they're able to get it, that's a nice 2 seconds that they've already saved over their opponent. And so now these guys going for this moon on top of a cliff. And to kind of demonstrate just how wild the optimizations in this game really are, the normal beginner strat is just to do a dive right there instead of the bump to go ahead and start off that movement after the quick Cappy cutscene. And, ooh, Suisaiga missing that clip just like last time in the previous race. There's a fair amount of bad luck going around with this moon clip. Let's see if mozurkz is at least able to get it. And he does. Very nice. That's what the moon clip looks like right there. You're able to get Mario just far enough into the roof that whenever you do a cap throw right after the moon cutscene, you're able to just move right over to the Odyssey underneath the overworld. So mozurkz going ahead and making up at least just a little bit of that discrepancy between Suisaiga and him at the moment. So about 5 minutes in, and they're going to be going into Sand Kingdom. You know, a lot of these runners probably hating sand. It's pretty coarse. It gets everywhere. There's not a whole lot of, you know, there's not a lot you can do about sand getting all inside your stuff. Stravos with that quick correction in chat, letting me know that it's a spin pound. Not exactly sure what I said, but spin pound it is from Stravos, making note of that. He's probably letting me know that it's a buffered spin pound rather than a buffered spin jump. That is my bad on that. So both these guys going for the initial birdless route here, opting for the jump off of the frozen fountain instead. The more beginner route is to go ahead and go on the umbrella that's on the left side, which wastes just a little bit of time, but that time allows the bird to get a bit closer to the roof and allows you to make that jump really, really quickly without having to wait very much on that bird at all. And we see Suisaiga going on top of this red mound of absolute no detail and somehow managing to still... Ooh! Commentator speaking a bit too soon, having to do double pounds to find that moon. And if you miss that moon, it can be very difficult to actually figure out exactly where it's at. Because, I mean, if you tilt the camera downward, you notice that it's just orange goop. There's no real definition for that hill whatsoever. And so we now see both these guys going ahead and prepping for Dram Strat. Either way, whenever you're coming off this arch, you want to get that spin pound just to have some fast momentum. Suisaiga going for the ice setup for Dram Strat. Meanwhile, mozurkz potentially going for, looks like, the more traditional setup here. Yep. And so Dram Strat, ooh, mozurkz failing it just before hitting that moon there. Dram Strat is one of those delayed capture strats where you throw the cap up and shake right before you make contact with the moon, but mozurkz shaking just a tad too early and getting that capture before he wants to. That's going to waste a pretty considerable amount of time. And so we see both these guys going in, Suisaiga going in for Sphinx Clip and getting it nice and handily, and the lead has very, very firmly shifted into Suisaiga's favor. He already had a lead going into this race, but that lead is just made that much more substantial by that Dram Strat fail. And so now, with the second Sphinx Clip, Suisaiga going ahead and moving on over into the bullet bill to go ahead and get that block. And you know, these guys make it look easy, but it can be a little bit deceiving. It's fairly difficult to both get those boosts there and be able to actually round that corner without hitting that wall and causing the bullet bill to explode. So mozurkz looks like going for the single clip version of that setup. Could be double clip. Commentator doesn't have the best experience with 1.0, personally runs on 1.2. Yeah, the single clip setup here, you know, definitely easier if you're not super confident in that roll clip. Mozurkz now going ahead and moving on as well over to this bullet bill section, while Suisaiga getting that nice cactus movement. He's actually opting for moving the cactus to the front rather than the back, but you know, it doesn't really matter where you move it so long as you move it far enough that Mario doesn't make contact during that next dive. And of course, with such a clean cycle after the Sphinx, that bird is just right in front of him, right where he wants him. And that's the thing here. This route that they're using is the fastest to go ahead and get the bird late, but it's also a bit dangerous because if you make too many mistakes post-Sphinx, you may actually just have to go chase that bird for a little while. And of course, since the Notes Moon is part of the route at this point, you don't really have a good backup here. Now, Suisaiga with a very nice Notes grab there, moving his way back to the Odyssey to go ahead and move on to Lake Kingdom. Meanwhile, mozurkz finishing up with going ahead and grabbing this little Sandhill Moon and then this Bird Moon. So both these guys with really great execution post-Sphinx. I think mozurkz with a little bit better of execution just due to the specific route that he's using. Remember that he did use the single clip route, which results in a bit of a different way of getting over to that bullet bill section, the second one. So both these guys moving on to Lake Kingdom. Now we saw Suisaiga in Lake Kingdom in a position that seemed good for going ahead and getting lake clips. So we'll see if he ends up going for it. Chat being very aggressive about me meaning spin pound. That is my bad. Definitely misunderstood Small Ants tutorial. Commentator very sincerely apologizing for repeatedly saying spin bump. I will definitely try to correct myself to spin pound in the future. Okay, so Suisaiga, if he's choosing to go for Snow Clip, it's right now, and he's doing it. Let's see if this Mad Lad lets it pay off. Not getting a good angle on this cap throw. Okay, he's able to get a good angle after a couple of attempts. Going ahead and getting that flag and getting the dive. I can't believe it. That lake clip working super well to his advantage. So if mozurkz doesn't go for the lake clip, we'll actually be seeing the difference between these two routes side by side. Part of the advantage of doing lake clip is you get that little cutscene of Cappy telling you, hey, you can go teleport to a flag. You get that early in Lake Kingdom, and it's actually still faster than the route that you see mozurkz doing right now. So that saves a couple of seconds over in Metro Kingdom since you don't have to watch that cutscene at all over there, whereas you normally do. And chat letting me know that Bump is a rarely used name for the tech behind a spin pound. So commentator going to attempt to be a lot more reliable about talking about buffered spin pounds as they are. But, you know, unfortunately, even though we have this correction in mind, that correction isn't exactly relevant in Lake Kingdom a whole lot. You know, only a couple of buffered spin pounds just a bit later on, or sorry, early on in the kingdom, but not after that. We see Suisaiga finishing out Lake Kingdom. We're really going to see the time save right now because he gets to entirely skip the Rengo fight, teleporting straight from the secret room right back to the Odyssey. And he already had a pretty substantial lead over mozurkz, but that lead is only going to get a little bit bigger over this. mozurkz actually making some mistakes in the Rengo fight, wasting a lot of time. I mean, if you end up accidentally missing any part, especially the interphases where Rengo goes into that spiky hat that rotates all the way around the stage, it can be very difficult to recover and actually get a decent ending to that fight. You know, you can waste easily 15 seconds just waiting for that phase to be over. Now, Suisaiga going ahead and moving on to Wooded Kingdom, most likely, I mean, for sure going for Nut Clip. Let's see how this Mad Lad manages to get through. And mozurkz going ahead and finishing up as well. So let's go ahead and try to come up with what exactly the lead is. Looks like Suisaiga going ahead and entering Wooded about 13:43. Let's see where mozurkz ends up. Probably going to be a 14:25, 14:30. Nice start from Suisaiga. Going ahead and moving on to the Shop Moon. Not a whole lot to talk about yet. So mozurkz moving into Wooded himself. And we're actually going to be getting a secondary comm in just a moment once they get added to the DM. So don't go away. Suisaiga going ahead and going for his own nut clip here. This can be a very difficult strat, and again, just like that earlier clip in Cascade, you've only got one chance at it, and plus this out-of-bounds section can be grueling. Like we talked about last time, you can very easily fall into the deep woods, and you're in deep trouble at that point. But very nice movement from Suisaiga, going ahead and preserving that P-speed there. Up the ramp. Very nice. This route is just beautiful. After that out-of-bounds section that is pretty difficult, you have a lot of just precise, but also just smooth movement. And so now we've got Suisaiga going ahead and going through his maze while mozurkz actually, commentator looked away just for a second to add a co-commentator to the group and unfortunately didn't see whether he missed nut clip or just didn't go for it at all. Thinking he just missed it. Now going for this alternate wall clip instead. Having a bit of trouble with this roll clip here. May just have to cut his losses and then go ahead and... Oh, I stand corrected, commentator. You know, speaking a little bit too soon sometimes, and of course, mozurkz proving him wrong, as is always. So he's able to get into this out-of-bounds section, but wasted a pretty considerable amount of time that he doesn't really have to lose at the moment. So let's see where Suisaiga ends up with his flower skip. He's through the most grueling parts of this kingdom, but it can still be possible to end up failing this and falling pretty considerably to your death. And with me now on co-coms is Badronis. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing pretty good. I was doing a lot of college studying, but I'm having a good day. How about you?
Great day here. This is the second SMO match I've seen. Hyped up for that Puncation SM64 match after this. And, just a day full of great races, including the one we've got right in front of us right now. Suisaiga versus mozurkz. And, we've got some great showing from these racers already. Suisaiga going for and getting late clip after a couple of attempts earlier. And mozurkz having to go for the alternate strat after failing nut clip. So we've got a pretty exciting race on our hands already.
Okay, yeah. Did Suisaiga make a lot of mistakes, or is he on like an okay run otherwise?
He's on a pretty great run. He did miss the clip at the very end of Cascade Kingdom. mozurkz with that beautiful poison jump right there while Suisaiga is finishing up his route. Going to be getting this nut and then finally going into the submerged pipes, which we discussed last race. That can be a pretty treacherous section. You can either have a hard first half and a decently easy second half, or a decently easy first half and a hard second half. Really no in between.
Yeah. Also, I was talking to Limcube, and he was telling me about this tree moon near the start that was in the recent BTT video, where it actually saves like a second or two over the Piranha moon just because of the cutscene. So like people might actually start doing that in the future. Like I don't know if it's like super hard, but that'd be a pretty cool time save. It's like right at the beginning before you do nut clip, you grab like the onion and go up a really big tree.
Ah, okay. I think I may know which moon you're talking about. Suisaiga accidentally taking damage in this submerged pipe section, but still able to get a decent time on it nonetheless. mozurkz, meanwhile, going into the flower tower himself. Now, since he went ahead and went for that roll clip after failing nut clip, I believe he's still going to be doing the same route that Suisaiga is doing. Wouldn't exactly make sense for him to go to Speward after this, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, probably not Speward. Like, it is just kind of a matter of like if you're trying to do the most updated route possible, but Spirit is a bit easier than maybe some other opportunities here. Like Suisaiga had a really good pipeline and stuff, but mozurkz, like I don't know if he's feeling comfortable with it. It's a pretty difficult section. Okay, spin pound. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's not what you're supposed to do there.
Yeah, Mario, I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't gotten severe traumatic back injuries at this point. I mean, with how many times all these runners have accidentally made him just land so hard that he starts having that shaking motion, Yeah. I feel like he's needed spinal surgery at least once, if not 37 times.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not in a wheelchair at this point. He's really tempting fate.
It may just be Cappy, Cappy may just be using some telekinetic powers to make Mario move his leg. Which kind of brings up one question that I constantly wonder about. If Professor X can move anything with his mind, why doesn't he move his legs?
That's an excellent question. As soon as you said Professor X, I'm like, oh, here we go. And then, yeah. I have no answer.
You ain't got the answers! Meanwhile, Suisaiga does have the answers for this Bowser fight, getting very, very clean movement and these nice cap grabs here. Those damaged cap grabs can be pretty nefarious to get, actually. Yeah,
someone like Sui's done it so many times. Also good in Bowser manip to not get like a 3-cycle cloud or whatever it is that will lose you a good chunk of time. Meanwhile, mozurkz going up to cloud now, probably about a minute 30 behind just by the split fade out. It's definitely not over for him. He's actually not like as far behind as he could be with someone like Suisaiga as his opponent.
Exactly
right. How he handles lost.
Yeah, loss, as we saw last race, can be a huge tipping point. Both our racers making pretty significant mistakes last time, so let's hope that they kind of avoid that this time. Suisaiga with that nice Cappy jump to go ahead and start off the meme tree. Beautiful movement. Just fantastico.
Yeah, mozurkz going for a pretty safe beginning of cloud movement. Just standard. Alright, Suisaiga here wrapping up some of these moons in the middle before you get to the probably more difficult ones at the end.
Yeah, especially this tree one after the spin pound moon here can be very treacherous. And we see both these guys actually going for a little bit of a faster strat for the beginner. Ooh, nice. getting that cappy throw and timing the return so that he's able to still get a cap jump. The kind of beginner strat is to, while the ground pound moon is kind of becoming collectible, you go ahead and throw cappy in front of you to walk onto it to get that first cappy bounce. But nice little optimization there from him. Beautiful movement through this section, getting that double block kill. As long as you stand kind of somewhere between the looking shadow, that Bommel? There's some sort of name for those beetles, and I can never remember it.
It's on the tip of my tongue too. I was about to ask you what the name of it was because I forget. Yeah, commentator not very prepared for this game, but yeah, Suisaiga did not make any mistakes and lost. He even avoids the death at the end. So mozurkz is gonna have to play his A game.
Exactly right on that.
Okay, he failed to capture the globe though, so a bit of commentator's curse coming out.
Yeah, I just wanted
a
to...
couple precious seconds.
I mean, he did have an amazing loss before that, so definitely just kind of, you know, he had to lose a little bit of time somewhere. And
yeah.
I'm going to preliminarily call these guys Balmy Boys before about 5 minutes from now chat just explodes with the actual name.
All right.
Ooh, mozurkz making the butterfly go away.
What does he do now? Oh,
okay. You don't see this strat a whole lot because typically guys will get the butterfly first try, but if you go into first person and look away, then the butterfly will actually respawn right where Mario's standing.
I thought it was like the equivalent of rage pausing where you're like,
It sure looks like it, but actually a strat. I believe Small Ant actually talks about it in his Lost tutorial.
I'll have to check that out then, you know? Good awareness, runs through Mario 64 looking up to get the wing cap, but it's actually a backup for the butterfly.
Exactly right. Now mozurkz here actually didn't even need the
camera angle. I don't know if that was intentional, but he works around it.
Yeah, probably unintentional. I'm not sure. Because, I mean, that actually looks like it unspawned the Balmy Boy. Oh, man, having to go in for another one. This is not a great loss, especially when compared to Suisaiga's. And Suisaiga in the difficult Night Metro, having a really nice time so far. Nice Goomba jump. Let's see how Inside of City Hall treats him.
Let's see what kind of strat mozurkz goes for here. Okay, he's not even going for the moon in the cage. He's going to spin pound and grab the one kind of underneath the like in the cave. I should probably like learn all the names for the moons, but they're in Japanese, so like I'm just throwing out some random call outs.
Yeah, from what I remember, the majority of them are descriptive. It'll be like under the bridge or in the cage, but occasionally they'll have nice names, especially in Metro. I really like a lot of the names in Metro, like how do they take out the trash for some of those high up dumpster moons, for instance. But mozurkz, you know, it's kind of funny too. Both of those moons could kind of be referred to as a cage moon. You just have to say metal cage versus stone cage.
Yeah, exactly.
And now
like, I've pretty much talked myself into a hole here. Alright, Suisaiga up on the mech Wiggler.
He's got this Wiggly boy. Nice first cycle so far. He's able to go ahead and get that Wiggler manip. Kind of interesting turnage there. I'm not sure what he was doing there. Maybe some kind of lag reduction that I'm not familiar with. As you see, he's just making Wiggler cut those corners. You know, it's kind of... Yeah. The Wiggler thinks that he's fighting well, but he doesn't really know what he's up against.
Yeah, I have to say, trying to aim the tank shots was really difficult for me, trying to play this casually. I can't, like some of these people aim so fluidly, you know, it just shows, like, how much practice it takes.
And it actually looks like Suisaiga's mainly relying on stick control. What a lot of runners will do...
It's an alright pattern, actually.
Yeah, at least it's not overlapping itself. That's the biggest thing, because Wiggler is not programmed very well for overlapping. His hitboxes do a lot of weird stuff, and it's very hard to actually hit all the segments if he overlaps himself, especially multiple times. Now, part of it too is whenever they go through this fight, a lot of runners will turn the motion control sensitivity on high, and that they'll use mostly motion controls for the adjustments there. But number one, it's a little bit weird to get used to, and number two, if you're like me and you tend to kind of move your hands around a lot when you're playing any sort of game, then you'll actually kind of randomly throw Cappy throughout the game since the controls are so sensitive.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, it's probably really difficult if you're somebody who actually, like, moves the controller around a lot, like you were saying. Meanwhile, mozurkz in City Hall here. No mistakes so far.
Yeah, he's about to go into this leap of faith, though. Suisaiga got it clean, and, I mean, it'd be a travesty if he missed this jump here. Taking that bit of a diagonal angle here.
He's good.
You know, I'm a little bit surprised that I haven't seen anyone go for the fur jump, where they actually go for a jump off of that platform where the where that treasure chest is.
And Suisaiga coming up on Scoot Clip, going for a pretty consistent cage bump. Successful first try.
You know, a lot of players actually claim that that drive-by is a little bit easier than the corner preps. And one thing that you may not realize, that's all motion controls right there. And so, like, if you watch these runners play, they're basically holding the Pro Controller nearly upside down. And especially if they decide to use Joy-Cons, it's even more movement to get the motion controls just right for that.
Yeah, I heard they either, like, was it like turn it around or flip it upside down and then turn it left to get like an even bigger angle? If you do it normally holding it right side up, you won't actually get enough of an angle to reach the moon.
Correct, yeah.
Something
you do
like
have to, no matter what controller you use, it's a very heavy tilt. And Suisaiga going for early musicians here. The beginner route just goes ahead and does the transport right up to the roof after this and finishes off the musicians after that indoor section at the end. But the way that they're doing it will actually save having to go back through that loading zone, and instead they'll just be going straight back to the Odyssey.
What?
I was just imitating the drummer noise. I just love the way their voices go.
Yeah.
Mozurkz with that nice 2 cycle as well. And one thing that a lot of newer runners have a lot of trouble with, that you see all the runners at this level getting just really clean, is the fact that there's a lot of rolling movement you can do without any sort of stick movement, and it's very easy. Like, for example, in the City Hall there, you really just have to make sure Mario's turned towards the door and then just start rolling. If you try to use the stick to turn at all, you're very likely going to bonk into the door. Or the biggest example is when guys don't do the Sphinx flip and they actually talk to the Sphinx normally, all you have to do is hold the shoulder button and just shake at the right time, and you'll just power roll straight into that door.
Oh, wow.
And I remember I had a lot of trouble at first. I was like, how am I supposed to get this alignment right every time? And I eventually figured out, oh, I'm not.
Yeah, Electric busting up the game knowledge here. Things I didn't even know.
These things you learn when you're a very beginner runner with not too great of skills. I'm going to go ahead and... Ooh! Suisaiga missing that dive moon.
Missed the moon on the girder. What does he even do now? He's going to opt to go back up this pylon here. Bit of a costly mistake if you ask me. Something that, you know, maybe he was on autopilot, you know, something that you kind of have the feel for the jump, and he didn't even realize he missed it until it was too late.
And that jump is fairly risky because once you start the dive, you can't get out of it. And, you know, if you dive just in the wrong-ish position, no amount of stick movement is going to save you, because you do have limited control over the dive, but it looked like he just jumped too shallow no matter what.
Yeah, it doesn't actually let you change your angle like it does with a lot of other jumps in Odyssey.
Yep.
Suisaiga seeing if he can get a bullseye.
Yeah, going ahead and waiting for the shadow there. Very nice. Ooh, even going for the spin pound, it looked like. Beautiful.
I think he like dove off and then threw Cappy to do a spin pound after that. I don't know, something. Usually people just like fall off or spin pound off and then do a ground pound, but I'm not sure if Suisaiga's method was better or worse. In the crowded walkway from that moon pretty easily.
Yep, and now he's got to go up these platforms here, opting for changing the camera angle on that dive. It's...
Yeah, moving so cool.
Oh, absolutely. And it can be a pretty tricky bit of movement if you don't go ahead and change the camera either on that first dive or right after landing on the first canopy. I've tried to do it blind a fair number of times when I just wasn't thinking about changing the camera angle, and it definitely lost me a considerable amount of time in runs.
So Suisaiga gonna wrap up Moon with kind of mid-30. Pretty good run. You said he missed leg clip a couple times, and that's small mistakes.
It wasn't too substantial. He threw Cappy just a little bit away from the corner twice, and then the third time he got Cappy in the right position, and then it was clean.
Yeah, 30-15 Metro is really good. Like for a race. Like
no doubt. I'd kill for that in my PB.
Yeah, probably, you know, Metro was near perfect. I didn't notice any mistakes that he made, really. Probably looking to get like a 101 or something like that with the 30-15 Metro.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And as long as he doesn't get any major mistakes throughout the rest of this run, that's easily possible. Now, at this level, you can bet that Suisaiga is going for Snowdram. Let's hope that he's able to get either a very nice quick setup or at the very least just able to get it first try.
Yeah. This is a huge amount of time, especially in Odyssey where, you know, these kind of big mistakes only there aren't as many like big mistakes as in other games. You know, just the snow jam itself is huge. Like 20 seconds if you miss it.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like in a game like SM64 on TTM, there's so much that can go wrong and lose you 30 seconds or more.
Yeah.
But in this game, those opportunities are a little bit few and far between, but Snowdram is certainly one of them.
Yeah, mozurkz is not even on a bad run. Do you know what his PB is by any chance?
I do not, but given that we're in round 3, I would be pretty surprised if it was above a 104.
Okay. Well, either way, he's less than a minute off of speed, about halfway through the run.
Exactly, and I mean that's not a bad place to be at all. Suisaiga confirming Snowdram with the specific route he's taking. The beginner route would go ahead and visit the shop there because you're actually going to transport out of the 3rd challenge room rather than getting moonclipped. That's awesome.
Nice, Suisaiga flexing.
Absolutely. You see a lot of guys go for it, kind of, I guess, as a joke, like, hey, I hope this works, but Suisaiga has the talent to make it work. But almost missing, fortunately, that staircase on the other side, but that block strat is so cool when you manage to do that side flip jump while the block is moving. You just have so much momentum going away from it.
Suisaiga trying to go for that one spiny left over. He has to kill both of them. Losing a bit of time here. Oh, his spiny hanging on for dear life. Suisaiga gonna have to spend a bit of extra time beating him off the stage.
Exactly.
Not optimal, but he was trying to go for the time save with the can return.
You know, I'm thinking, and mozurkz realizing that he doesn't quite have enough coins to go into snow.
Okay.
Yep, at exactly 90. So we're going to be seeing him do snow after. So we won't exactly see where these players are at until luncheon, but mozurkz having a little bit of trouble with this initial jump. Meanwhile, Suisaiga getting that clean suck into the pipe. For beginners, they just do a straight dive into it. Very easy peasy, no effort involved. But for these guys at this level, they're wanting that little extra fraction of a second just from doing a spin pound as well at the end of that dive.
Yeah.
And that's another thing.
Monster's PB is a 103.34, so no slouch.
Exactly right on that. I mean, anyone with anywhere below a 105 is a force to be reckoned with. Now, mozurkz with that very nice Gushin skip. Apparently, Gushin is not a common way of pronouncing that creature's name. I did not know this until last race.
I thought it was Gushin. Wait, do you say Gushin or Gushin?
I always said Gushin, and the last commentator started laughing at me. He's like, it's Gushin.
Oh no. Electric, you know, feeling some very hostile commentators.
Yeah, you know, just cannot. And
I think
mozurkz also can't
Mozurkz
catch a break.
Yeah, I think he was. Wait, did he spin pound for rocket power storage? I wasn't
No,
watching.
he didn't even try for rocket storage. Now, Suisaiga must have already gone to the store at some point.
I think he didn't have enough coins either. That's why he's in Rango room.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, he's going for that Rango strat. No, actually, I think he's going straight for Snowdram now. Okay.
I think mozurkz with a bit of awareness over Suisaiga, you know, knowing that he didn't want to have to try to scrounge for coins in snow, gonna go right to seaside, not lose any time really. Get plenty of extra coins. You know, where he's going now, these coins are just in a giant line. Look at him go, you know, picking up like 30 or something like that. I don't know how many, but there's a lot. And Suisaiga, clean Snowdram. You know, did you ever doubt him?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Especially with how quickly he did that setup. The only faster setup we've seen is from Stravos right before this, just with that boop. Definitely showing off his Call of Duty background with that quick scope there.
Nice.
And so mozurkz with that Dory Moon. I gotta say, I was so disappointed when I started playing Lake Kingdom and I saw Dory and I was like, oh, they got Dory. And I tried to ground pound on her head to be able to ride her. And then she just made that squeaking noise and I felt so bad. I was like, no, come on.
I think it's one, you know, I think it was yesterday we were talking about the Mario beating up the Wombs. You know, if he's got like some there's like a dark side to Mario, you know, he's also kind of mean to Dory.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, stomping on the head of that poor dinosaur. I mean, that's like the Loch Ness Monster, probably the last of its kind. And he's just going boop right on its head just to get a little bit of a ride. And I mean, there must be a very, very sensitive area on top of that skull because Dory's able to move exactly where Mario moves on top of that head. So
yeah, or maybe Mario's ground pound has a lot of force. You know, it breaks like solid boxes. Like
Yeah, true, true. Could be causing some fractures in the skull. I mean, the way Dory's brain may be constructed, you know, the part of the brain that tells her to move one way could be on the left side, the other way on the right side. So ultimately, commentators putting forth a lot of theories with, you know, not a lot of disproving evidence. You can't explain that.
Whoa!
Just like you
Little
can't really
bonk
explain
on
how
his feet.
Suisaiga got that bonk there. That looked good, but just a little bit too
Oh,
close to that
missing
wall.
the moon. Oh,
Oh
no.
no! He's gonna
Yeah,
have
I've
to
heard
climb
that
back up
moon's
these
actually a
stairs.
bit more difficult than it looks, just because like the depth perception as well as just trying to get a clean cat bounce without hitting the ceiling. You know, Suisaiga definitely getting punished in that room.
Exactly. You really have to watch Mario's shadow right before you jump into the cat bounce for that moon. And then also what a lot of people will do is they'll go ahead and do a wall kick off the opposing wall. Suisaiga with that nice rocket storage. This commentator moving over into sunshine commentary, it seems. Nice other rocket flower storage.
Polar opposites here. mozurkz is talking to a freezing toad. Suisaiga enjoying some tropical climate in Seaside. He just
But oh yeah, they just completely switching places. They'll do a wall kick and then try to throw their cap at the moon, and if the moon actually spins, then they know that they're in exactly the right place.
pretty handy idea there.
Yep, and mozurkz going ahead and entering snow, getting a nice strat on this moon here up those boxes. And now Suisaiga going ahead and having to add insult to injury by swimming through these coins just one kingdom too late. Skip that one challenge room.
Yeah, I think his Ringo room was a little bit sloppy, you know, probably not something used to practicing.
Absolutely. I mean, he probably practiced it a decent amount when he started, but certainly not recent.
Yeah. You know, mozurkz can definitely make up some time in this like kind of MSSL. I mean, maybe not Metro because we had a sick Metro, but at least in Snow and Seaside, if he gets Snow Gym, he'll definitely be making up time over Suisaiga.
Yep, and Suisaiga going ahead and finishing up his Seaside. So definitely still in the lead after these two kingdoms. What? That was interesting on mozurkz's side. He was on the platform and then side flipped directly off. Must have been just an error in reaction.
I guess so.
So Suisaiga finishing up Seaside. mozurkz has some time to make up. I mean, Suisaiga left a lot on the table, especially in this room with those spinies, but already mozurkz was at a pretty big deficit, so he's got his work cut out for him, that's for sure. But hey, Luncheon and Bowser's are coming up. Those could be pretty great divides, and cannot forget about that escape. We've seen so many issues that players have had with that escape.
Yeah, especially when it's pretty close. You know, if it's like a 2-minute lead, probably won't see a change in escape. But if it's like, you know, 15 seconds, it's like nail biter. You know, one mistake will change it.
Yep,
Missing stick out of
especially-
Bowser, missing Moon Skip, or messing up in the 2D section.
Yeah, especially that 2D section. Missing 2D skip costs about a minute. The absolute worst one is if you get all the way to the pillars and forget to mine the gap. mozurkz with a little
Yeah.
bit of a late activation on that icicle, so he had to wait just a tiny bit. That's one of those optimizations that saves a couple seconds. Rather than going for all of the Goombas immediately, they go ahead and activate the icicle drop before going for the fourth Goomba, since they're gonna have to go for that fourth Goomba anyway, and they'd rather have the icicle drop during that time period.
Yep.
Now, Suisaiga with that very clean salt pile grab, I still have not even really tried to learn that strat. I'm just perfectly fine with the backflip platform strat. It's fast enough for me, and that salt pile strat just looks insane.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like you would expect someone to like bonk as they do that, you know. But oh wait, Suisaiga not getting that Team Spirit hit that he wanted for the first one. But I think from here on out it should be nice and clean.
I think he's actually trying to go ahead and get a heart in the middle of this battle. That way,
There he goes.
Nice strat there, because remember that heart refill animation takes probably a good 3 seconds or so.
Yeah, definitely aware of the little things.
I mean, at this level, you have to be. It's the type stuff like in SM64 where if you open a left door, it saves like 0.3 seconds over a right door. At this level,
Yeah.
you have to know that type of information.
Monster's going for Snow Jam. Let's see what he's got. I think that looks good. Yeah, he's got it as well.
Beautiful
Good snow
Snowdram.
for mozurkz.
Plus, he's able to go ahead and skip that third challenge room entirely, the Rango room. Okay, now Suisaiga going into this lava room, just peeking in, going ahead and grabbing this one moon and finding his way out. This is one that it actually looks a fair bit difficult, but all the way up until this last little bit here, where nice roll cancel there. Wow, that was beautiful. That's pretty much the fastest way you can do that room. The only real big
Suisaiga's gonna die in the okay. He was looking like he was gonna fall in the goop there. I don't even know what would happen. I think you got a checkpoint like right before Speedrun or something, but like.
Well, that room counts as a checkpoint, so if you die right after that room, you'll end up respawning right outside the door for that room.
Okay.
So not the most costly death in the world, but again, like when you're fairly close to your competitor, you definitely don't want to give up that type of lead.
Yeah, Monster is already loading in lunch in here. We'll see if he goes for the salt pile triple jump. He probably will.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
I keep...
Good wall bounce. There he goes.
Honestly, it makes me a little bit agitated to see the angles that these guys are able to pull off on that third jump. Because there have been so many times where my triple jump has been eaten by what the game thinks is a wrong angle, and I'm going perfectly straight. Yeah, I see some of these guys turning nearly 90 degrees and still getting the triple. I'm just like, come on.
Yeah, I don't really know how it works because there is like a certain threshold where if you're trying to like turn too much, you won't triple jump, but like you obviously can do it with some amount. Like you see people in Cascade as they go up to the dyno, you know, they do kind of a curvy triple jump to get up there. Suisaiga capturing and getting into the forks room.
Yeah, this one can be a pretty big back. Now, going into first person right there, again, one of those little camera optimizations, not even bothering with that second chucker, going ahead and doing a double up throw. And, man, I really wonder who programmed the up throws in this game and why they did it the way they did, because you have to move both controllers, if you're using Joy-Cons or just the Pro Controller, perfectly laterally upward. Like, you'd kind of think if you're throwing a cap upward, do like a flicking motion where the bottom of the controller stays at a relatively consistent level and acts as kind of a hinge while the top of the controller moves up a lot. But no, you have to move the whole thing perfectly upward.
Yeah, I'm sure almost any speedrunner would much rather them just be button inputs. Also with like the down throw is only available on Joy-Con. I'm kind of confused, like how is up throw available but down throw isn't, you know?
Yeah, that's a really weird one to me.
The people were thinking of when they thought about all these inputs. Clean turnip clip from Suisaiga, not going for the golden one. I don't know if there's a difference. Do you know?
I don't believe there is. I think the turnips are the same size, so no big difference between those two. Just so long as you're able to get that turnip clip, saves you having to deal with the barrier breaking cutscene, and of course going all the way up to that switch. Ooh, but mozurkz missing that cap throw to go ahead and get on top of this roof. I'm going to take a bit of an upward route.
Ooh, homing throw. I didn't know it actually would reach that far.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can't be exactly where the moon will spawn, but you can be a little bit short of it and go ahead and get that homing throw. You just have to make sure to do the home after it leaves the roof. Kind of similar to in the forks room, how you have to make sure that the cap goes all the way around.
Suisaiga! He's
falling no! Okay. That is a death right there. No way to recover.
Dead.
This is what mozurkz has been waiting for. He's been waiting in the wings. Okay, not going for that.
This game's wide open again.
Exactly right. I mean, he's having to start right before that. Okay.
Well,
so
at least he got the moon there, so he doesn't have to go back and get it. Okay, another bomb from Suisaiga, getting bopped by the tomato.
Ooh, but mozurkz here.
Salt in the wound. Not salt on the pork.
Oh.
Okay. Oh wait, he didn't get the moon. Oh my God, Suisaiga again.
Oh no.
Whoa. Okay.
That is terrible for Suisaiga. Wonderful for mozurkz right now. And you also saw mozurkz having a little bit of a sloppy section after leaving the soup platform. Normally, you're supposed to do a camera manipulation to make sure that the Podobo spawns as late as possible. That way, you can collect the moon on that salt pile, then immediately grab him, and it's a little bit faster than trying to grab him from the opposite side. mozurkz missing that, and instead actually grabbing the Podobo before the moon. But that's nowhere near as much of a time loss as this double death from Suisaiga. He's finally able to go ahead and get up there, but he's lost a lot of that considerable lead. It is definitely a lot more mozurkz game at the moment.
Yeah, I also kind of want to make a correction there. I didn't realize he died before getting the moon the first time, so he actually had to go back there. Just my bad.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
mozurkz going for turnip clip. Suisaiga finishing up luncheon. So he's still in the lead despite those deaths. But I think this is very doable for mozurkz now. Suisaiga only has to make like a couple more errors. Hopping in there, first try to turnip clip, just what he needs. Now on to good old ruined. You know, probably not gonna see Sweet Eye there. as he famously did on a world record pace a long time ago. And we got to see if mozurkz can get through this kind of later stage with some clean gameplay. Definitely a lot of time to save over Sui here. Probably a mistake that he's not made in a while.
Exactly right. I mean, that can be a pretty difficult platform to land on, but at this level, I mean, you've got 4 platforms right there. You've got 4 platforms right there to kind of land on, as you see there at different levels. So if you realize that you're missing that moon platform a little bit early, then you're able to go ahead and correct a little bit. But I mean, Suisaiga not having a chance. And yeah, like if you fall beyond there, that's it. The closest land is super far away. And honestly, I think it may actually be faster to go ahead and take that death.
Yeah, probably. mozurkz finishing up lunch in here. Grabbing that grand moon.
Ooh, she's talking with a double pause before the cutscene, trying to skip it just a tad too soon. That's one of those that can be pretty difficult to actually skip because, or at least skip on the exact frame, since you don't have the most clear indicator of where exactly the cutscene is going to start.
Yeah,
Suisaiga with pretty much the only optimization you can do in Ruined Kingdom by taking the damage, jumping on top of the dragon early, so he's able to get those hooks out early. Now, I learned last race that the hooks are in the same place every single time, so I'm a bit surprised that not more people go for a second optimization where you can actually throw Cappy at such a specific angle that he'll grab 2 of the hooks in one pass rather than just 1.
Yeah, do you know how much that saves?
It doesn't save a whole lot of time, but I definitely expect it to save at least a third, if not a half of a second.
Yeah, definitely flexing then, people want every time save they can get, and maybe it is just kind of they don't want to have to stress about Ruin, but if it is just that little bit, I'm sure like if you miss it, you just throw Cappy again. Not really a net loss to you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you wouldn't have to use that much of a different angle to go ahead and do that, especially on this phase that Suisaiga is approaching right here. The 2 towards the tip of the nose are basically in perfect position for that. Or sorry, the 3 there.
Yeah.
Although I think part of it too may be that you have to jump to make sure that Cappy actually goes on a bit of an upward trajectory.
Yeah. A bit like bugging me that like when they made this boss, they didn't even give him like symmetric onks. Like for the 3rd phase, like he has like the 3 on the nose, right? But then the ones on his head are like asymmetrical. There's only 1 on the side and 2 on the other. It's like, come on, Nintendo, just give him one more thing to do. Or 1 less. Either way.
Yep, exactly.
Maybe
I mean,
it's too hard for casuals. It was pretty hard, I'll say, like, because I didn't know how to get up on the head. You actually had to dodge the shockwaves and stuff.
Yeah, I forget whether I was able to get this one first or second try casually, but it was definitely like it's not as much of a walk in the park as it is now whenever I'm speedrunning it. Especially this final phase with the razor blades where he's going and just shooting 4 razor blades constantly across the stage. I saw a nice little optimization from a player last race where he actually went over to the invis wall on the edge of the stage and just continuously wall kicked and then threw Cappy and then wall kicked over and over. That way he completely avoided all of those 4 saw blade attacks.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and of course, like, he was still able to get onto the top of the head with a very nice time, so... mozurkz now finishing out his Ruin fight.
I'd say for how big this dragon is, he's not really taking advantage of his size or mobility. He just kind of stands in one place and shoots electricity at you. He could fly around. He could go anywhere else other than this circular stage that Mario's confined to, but, Dragon not really playing to his strengths, and that's why he takes the L.
Yeah, I mean, really, what Mario doesn't realize...
Oh, Suisaiga missing his, actually don't... Yeah, he's missing his jump up there.
Kind of...
do that tiny jump off, like, the edge.
Yeah, trying to get the cap throw above the ledge to go ahead and catch the lightning rod, but unfortunately not able to. Nice jump to go ahead and activate that giant Colossus right there, and then proceeding to just break his head in. And, I think the fact that this dragon goes so easy on you, and also the fact that Bowser literally gives you the tools to defeat him with, kind of gives a bit more credence to my personal theory that Princess Peach is actually staging these kidnappings.
Yeah, it's an elaborate game. the TV
Oh,
cameras
yeah.
turned on at the end. It's like, you welcome to, and then your reality show.
Oh god, what's that episode of Black Mirror? I think it's White Bear. Is what it's called. You ever seen that one?
No, I actually don't watch a lot of TV much, or at least
Oh,
I
it's on
haven't.
Netflix.
I know, but like,
Oh, I
I
see.
don't know. I'm too busy playing Mario, I guess. But yeah, I've heard it's a great show. I'll probably watch it at some point in my life.
Yeah, all the episodes are disconnected. Like, it's kind of like about the same general concepts, but like there's no consistent storyline through the episodes. White Bear will
It's kind
mess
of
with.
like a modern Twilight Zone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. White Bear and Playtest especially. Playtest will mess with you too. That's another great one.
Okay. Maybe Nintendo didn't playtest Bowser enough.
Hey!
Ha,
Exactly.
I mean, you kind of gave me that one as a layup, but I probably should have done better.
Oh
was
no, I
pretty
mean
lame.
perfectly fine fun. Perfectly fine puns here.
Yeah, Suisaiga here, coming up toward the I think this is like the okay. I think
He's
it's like
coming
the
up to the
last
brutal fights
non-story
now.
moon that he needs in Bowser's.
Ooh!
What?
Okay, he's
Suisaiga
trying to do that-
homing onto the pylon.
Yeah, he's trying to do the delayed grab. He got it this
Yeah.
time. It saves a little bit of time since you don't have to go all the way back to this lightning rod, but I think it had a net loss for him.
Yeah, a bit shocking though. Some uncharacteristic play from someone who's so consistent.
Even though it's just a tad slower, I kind of prefer the route where they actually jump from the front instead of from behind that archway to get to that moon.
Also, Suisaiga, part of the Harriet First gang. We'll see what mozurkz elects to go for in this first boss fight.
I feel so alone in the Topper First gang. I mean, come on, guys, it's fun over here.
I think GSA should make some emotes, like a Topper and a Harriet, and then people can kind of spam them when we get to this point in the run to show their support. I think a lot of people in the chat are pretty vocal about their allegiance and would like to demonstrate that with some fancy memes available with a subscription that we could profit and take your money from.
Well, you know how you personally as a viewer could turn a profit off of these, don't you?
Yes, I do. Would you like to elaborate?
Of course, and that is through our sponsor for this and the other two tournaments currently running, buy.gg. Go check them out if you're of legal betting age in your country, and of course, if it's legal in your country. They have PvP betting on all of our races, and by PvP, I mean the house is not involved at all. You are literally just betting against other players, so if you're a huge Suisaiga fan, or if you're in that mozurkz crew, go ahead and, in a future race with either of these guys, go ahead and place a couple wagers.
Yeah, I think it also seems like kind of thing that if you have like a couple Odyssey buddies, you want to actually use it just as a platform, say, hey, Sui's got this, dude. Put your money where your mouth is, but
Exactly right. And I mean, it's that much more exciting to watch a race when you've really got kind of a dog in the fight, even if it's just a few pounds, Now, Suisaiga going into my personal...
pausing? What was he doing there? Was that a rage pause? I mean,
Could've
obviously
been,
people
yeah.
go for the Harriet first person, but as far as I know, there's no Harriet pause.
Absolutely, no. I mean, he didn't do the pause on the second phase, so it definitely seems unintentional from him.
Yeah, he's not doing the first person cut either.
Yeah,
Also,
the strategy...
Oh, I was gonna say, like, people always kind of try to, like, roll out of the ring, but it doesn't really matter. You just spawn back in the middle anyway. It's not like it actually saved anything by trying to lead off.
Yeah, just kind of, I guess, a fun little thing to do with your hands while you wait, but... The strat that he was using, though, is also very consistent, where you wait right in front of Harriet until she just starts the bomb throw animation, and then you move towards one of those diagonal points, and it's very reliable at that point to go ahead and get bombs right in your face. Just clean topper fight, though. Going right on into this next section. I mean, they're basically one section of this kingdom apart. Suisaiga going into the mech fight, while mozurkz just has this one last little section before his own mech.
I wonder if anyone's ever explained how the brutals get into the mech, like Harriet and Topper after you just killed them like 2 minutes ago.
Exactly.
First hit good from Suisaiga here. Definitely want to focus on mech.
Yeah, he had a little bit of
biggest thing
trouble
that's
getting up the mech in the first place, but he's got that double so far. Now he's just got to get back on top and get ready for that interphase where, of course, Rainbow Legs is just running all the way around the stadium. You have a slight optimization here where if you stand right in front of him, in some cases you do it just right, he'll bonk nearly immediately on the wall, so you skip like that second running animation.
That's cool.
Now, for the beginner strat, you will have gotten Spewer and Rango first, I believe. Not sure exactly who's on the back. And whenever he does that back tilt like that, that's where you actually get Topper. But in this case, for the fast mech, you see them do Harriet second to last rather than last, and Spewer actually last.
Yeah, that was a really clean mech from Sui.
Absolutely.
It's not over still, but mozurkz probably needed a mistake on mech or something of that magnitude to get back into it.
Yup, and unfortunately just not getting that. I mean, Suisaiga, the only real mistake he had was just failing to get onto the top of that mech in the first place, and I mean, that didn't cost him very much. Certainly not as costly as falling off the mech in the third phase. That one will really cost him.
He's still on like a 102 pace with some of those crazy mistakes. Well, actually, they weren't that crazy. Like, Squeeze had a pretty decent run. I'm mainly thinking of the 2 luncheon deaths.
Oh yeah, that was, I think, really his main 2 huge mistakes in this run.
Wait,
pretty clean sailing from him regardless.
Monster's not going for Harry at third. Wait, no. Yeah, he is. Okay. I don't know what I'm talking about. I thought he was doing some different strat.
Just has to make his way back on top. Remember this interphase here. The mech is actually invincible during this entire interphase, all the way up until the mech will lean back during right there, and that's where they go ahead and kill Harriet.
Yeah, usually star power, only Mario gets star power, but I guess the mech has it as well.
Yeah, you know, they may have just like taken just enough of the stars to be able to, I don't know, be able to power the mech's legs and star power. Who knows? It's kind of like in a 1,000-Year Door, one of the bosses uses the crystal star to make himself stronger. So, you know, maybe they're able to do that. Who knows?
Maybe. All that's left for Sui is Moon, and then he can probably get this win over mozurkz.
Exactly right.
He's in a good position in this like whole tournament. You know, like some mistakes, sure, but he's definitely in form right now.
No doubt about that. I mean, he's in a very good position right now. Probably a minute or so ahead. You know, he's already on the moon while mozurkz still has to watch that Odyssey cutscene. But there's a lot that can and potentially will go wrong. I mean, you know, Murphy's Law is a thing, and Commentators Curse. We haven't seen a huge uprising of it, but it may decide to go into
We will have
effect.
a perfect moon with 0 mistakes.
Commentators wanting a little bit closer of a race, even if that means some ridiculous mistakes on Suisaiga's part. Commentators not exactly the most unbiased.
I think you'll have a pretty clean moon.
I think so too, especially this moon skip is going well for him. So barring a major mistake on the Bowser fight, or God forbid the escape, he's in a great spot. I've also always liked the little detail that when Mario's rolling on that red carpet, it makes a slightly different sound than when he's rolling on the moon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, next time you do a run, watch for that, and you'll see like it's a muffled sound, like he's actually rolling on carpet.
That's cool.
And now, you know, the priest asking if anyone objects to this marriage, forever hold your speak now or forever hold your peace. And Mario's like, not today. Just banging right through that door. I mean, true wedding crasher right here.
I mean, at the same time, Bowser pretty much like coerced everyone like from the other kingdoms into coming to his wedding, and they clearly don't want to be there. So I mean, like, maybe objections not really being recognized by the judge in this case.
True,
Overruled.
true. Although it could very well be too, they may also be on Peach's payroll. You know, being that oil baron that she is, she has a lot of disposable funds.
Where does Peach get her oil from?
I don't know, but you ever seen those pipes in Hazy Maze Cave?
Good point.
Exactly. I mean, what is that substance that forms the entrance? Gotta be some type of oil, doesn't it?
I'm inclined to agree.
And you know, if you're an exploited monarch and your people haven't quite realized it yet, one of the best ways to prevent them from ever realizing it while mozurkz has a great moon skip is to get yourself kidnapped repeatedly, because getting kidnapped inspires sympathy. You know, I really think Mario's just the unwilling pawn in this plot by Peach to keep her reign over the Mushroom Kingdom with that iron oil-filled grip.
Turns out Mario is just an allegory for Imperial Japan or something, I don't know.
These games much deeper than you'd think. There's a wonderful Donkey video on Mario Maker where he goes into one level and just tries analyzing it so deeply, and it's really funny.
I love Donkey.
He's great. Free promotion there. Donkey, go ahead and sponsor GSA, please.
Donkey actually seems to really like Odyssey and like the balloon game and stuff.
Oh yeah.
His videos are pretty funny as well.
I mean, I don't blame him. His favorite game is SM64 of all time. So when I played through this game, yeah, he's on the H3 podcast. I think he talked about that. Mozurkz with this nice Bowser fight while SuisaigaW goes ahead and gets that tiny little skip there. Let's see how 2D skip goes for him. He's about to enter this section. And I actually didn't know this for the longest time, but if you hold the fire button with one finger, you can still use fireballs with the other, but you'll also dash the whole time.
Okay, that makes sense.
But it's kind of hard to do. What I've ended up doing, it's gonna sound really.
Sweet. Finally.
Oh
my
no!
God!
Barely able. Wow! Just a half second later, and he would have been dead right there, and not even a 2D skip. His heart must be in the middle of his throat right now.
I mean, we need to get Simply on here so we can put down like a Huna Huna curse or whatever it's called. Because like that was insane. Like, you know, I don't think I've ever seen that mistake in 2D happen where someone actually gets caught by the falling stage. And, like,
I don't think so either.
Like, if you see 2D skip, maybe you just have some bad jumps, but like, not that. Surely not. SuisaigaW making us hold our breath a little bit. Maybe punishing us for our bias against his game.
Now with that nice pillar strat, we used to see people just kind of throw random fireballs at it, hoping that they get it, but he's actually going a little bit out of his way to make sure that that pillar falls near instantaneously. Now, the rest of this escape looking pretty good for him. He avoided that little hole there, and so he's just breaking this last pillar with just fireballs.
Yeah, legit, did you see the BTT video? Or not yet?
I don't think I have just yet.
Okay, I highly recommend it, especially the pillars. Like, that's like a new level of pillars that I've never seen before.
Oh, I did see the Sand Kingdom part of the BTT video, and that was insane.
I mean, it's all insane. I think Wooded especially was super cool, but in the latest one, the pillars, maybe the pillars were old from the last BTT, but I'm pretty sure they're a lot faster than they used to be. SuisaigaW wrapping up a high 102. Probably not like what he wants, but like, I'm not gonna like sit here and say that's a bad time. Like, that's a great time.
Not at all. I mean, that'd be a PB most people would just dream of, and this guy's getting it in a race. That is fantastic.
You know who has the race world record? Is it Stravos or is it Sweet? I'm pretty sure it's one of them. Or maybe it's Curbs. Wait, did Curbs get it like a couple days ago?
I think he did, yeah, because I remember he had an insane run. I think it was a 101 low time. I forget exactly what it was.
Oh, it's the 101.18 or something.
Like that. I mean, getting within 30 seconds of the world record in the middle of a race, that's impressive.
SuisaigaW says, you know, he's pretty happy like the first 20 minutes of the run, but not so much with the rest of it. You know, probably hoping for some cleaner gameplay. Gonna pass on the interview. It's alright, you know.
Yeah, I don't really blame him.
Anyway.
It was a great race, though. I mean, his gameplay, I really feel, speaks for itself.
Mozurkz's camera was a bit funky. I thought he was maybe in danger of falling to his death.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't want to have your camera at a weird angle there. I gotta confess, when I got through this casually, I did take a death to all those falling blocks.
Yeah, Mozurkz with a 104.25, you know, considering his PB, like, that's less than a minute off. So I think Mozurkz can be pretty happy with the run he got.
Exactly. I mean, a minute and a half away from SuisaigaW. SuisaigaW getting better than his PB, but Mozurkz very close to his PB. That is just beautiful.
I think Sweet's PB is like a 1:0:53 or something right now, so it's like about 2 minutes away.
Yeah, and those guys with the sub-hour 1 minute PB, that's insane. Now we've got Mozurkz in the call with us. How are you doing? How was that race for you, man?
So it was a bit rough, but managed to hold it together, and didn't make any major mistakes after Wooded, really. Just small mistakes.
Absolutely right, and you did save a substantial amount of time in luncheon over SuisaigaW with, you know, leaving out those 2 deaths that he decided to take. Were you watching the stream during, and did you kind of notice that?
I did not follow the stream much. I checked in enough to know that, you know, he was ahead, and I knew he was on good pace leaving Metro. but I did not catch the 2 deaths. How did he die?
They're pretty quick deaths. This is the actually, why don't you go ahead and explain Electric? You probably know better.
Yeah, it was after the turnip clip. Once you get that fireplace moon and you have to do the triple jump over to the moon across the wall, he fell twice and missed that moon across the wall.
Oh yeah, that can be a really tough one.
And you can't really do anything about that death because I mean, there's no real good platform for you to land on.
Yeah, it's tough.
Now, I mean, you know, you really could not have done better in a lot of the different places in this run. I mean, what kingdom do you think you're most happy with after this run?
You know, I'm not entirely, you know, I'm not sure. I don't think any of these kingdoms were golds. I thought I was happy with how Bowser's went. I don't think it was a gold in any part. There were mistakes in both halves, but I was happy that I, didn't fall off mech or anything. I got Target acquired, which was hype.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Exactly. Cool. I mean, that great showing from both these guys. And I mean, you playing so close to your PB, it was, what, like less than a minute off, I believe?
Less than a minute. So that's definitely a good run for me. I'm definitely very happy with this. I've been playing Smash Ultimate all weekend. So, the fact that I did 2 runs before this and the third run was a 104.25 was a nice little pick-me-up.
Yep, good. I mean, getting lost in that in that Smash sauce, I don't blame you. That seems to have been most of Twitch recently, so...
Yeah, for sure. It's fun. It's a good game.
I'll definitely have to check it out. Hadn't bought it just yet, but after seeing a lot of gameplay, I think I've become convinced. Now, you're going to be moving on into the losers bracket. Who are you kind of scared of that's already down there? I know we've got a couple of big names who have had some surprising upsets early on.
Ekwan. I haven't checked out the bracket recently, so I don't know if Ekwan is in my division. But I know Little Aggie got knocked out by Danza. He's a very good runner. We've been competing for PBs back and forth for since like 109. So I think he's in my area. So we could be fighting soon if he manages to best his opponent. So that's definitely one that I'm looking forward to.
Definitely sounds great. I mean, especially with that nice friendly rivalry, that's going to be a race to watch for sure.
Yeah, it's always nice when you have someone who motivates you to want to win, and someone who's in your tier.
Exactly right. I mean, I've seen that in so many cases, whether it be like musicians competitions in high schools or especially in speedrunning. That friendly competition is really what powers guys to just buckle down and get these insane times. Now, Badronis, do you have any other questions for mozurkz before we go ahead and let him go and move on to the next race?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that race. Beautiful race from both of you guys. And especially, that was a great run. No huge mistakes. Getting that cascade clip, whereas SuisaigaW went ahead and missed that. So there's a lot to be happy about in this run. And definitely look forward to seeing your future races.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
And that will go ahead and do it for this race. But before we move on to the intermission, one last quick shout out and thank you to Vi.gg, our sponsor for this tournament, the SF64 70-star tournament, who's going to have its next race just after this, Punkation versus Joe Random. So definitely stick around for that. That's going to be a great race. And they're also sponsoring the Super Metroid Any Percent tournament. So check out any of those and be sure to type !bet to check out their site and bet on any of those upcoming matches. Again, I'm Electric, and thanks so much, Badronis, for stepping up as co-com. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
And stick around, everyone. We'll see you after this intermission.